Well, I have some bad news to share with all of you. Obviously, this is in no way enjoyable, but in my effort to be the most transparent person making trading content, it's only fair that if I'm sharing my successes and my wins with you, well, I should also share my missteps and my downfalls as well. And unfortunately for me, in this particular video, we happen to be in the latter camp. I just found out a few hours ago that I was once again denied $30,000 from Apex Trader funding. As you can see on the screen here, this is the official denial email from Apex Trader. You can see 1, 2, 3 plus 12. That's all 15 of my live PA accounts that even though they're congratulating me for requesting a payout, I did in fact break the 50% MAE drawdown rule, aka that violation. And because I broke it, they denied it. And then when you're requesting out 2K on all 15 accounts, well, that's where the $30,000 comes from. And really just to drive home the point, to show how official it is that I'm apparently a horrible trader, you can see right here, denied, 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 all 15. I did request this past Friday on the 21st. Fast forward a few days, they realized that I broke one of the rules, and that's exactly why they in fact denied me again. Now, very quickly, there's two things I want to make crystal clear. Number one, going into this request, I knew that I broke this rule, so there was a very high likelihood that I was going to get denied. And number two, as I'm about to explain in the remainder of this video, when you see my accounts, when you see what happened, it's 100% on me. I was being incredibly stupid and not thinking properly at all. I was tilted, I was spiraling, call it whatever you want, but this is 100% my fault. And I'm going to show you in this video how you can easily avoid it, because I promise you, by the end of this video, you're going to think it's insane that I made this misstep anyway, because it's so easy to avoid. So to better understand what in the world I'm talking about, allow me a couple seconds to paint a picture for you. From October 20th to the day that I'm filming this, November 24th, hey, happy Thanksgiving. I have no idea when you're watching it, but hey, have a good one. I've made about $381,000, $193,000 to the long side and $188,000 to the short side. On the long side, I'm right about 68% of the time. On the short side, I'm right about 59% of the time. And really, these odds are a little bit skewed because if you've watched any of my live streams, you know I like to set my trades to break even very, very early. And a lot of those times they end up counting as a loss. Shameless plug, by the way, Monday to Friday, 9 to 11, I'm live trading my own account. It's 100% free. So if you're watching this and you want to trade with me or see how I approach the market, feel free to stop by. Anyway, you can see that these accounts are doing pretty good, so it might bring up the question, why in the world did I get denied? Well, you could come over to the analysis tool and you could start to see that, okay, the overall cumulative net profit is growing and growing and growing. There was a hit on November the 17th, recently growing a little bit more, a little bit of a hit, but overall that kind of bottom left to top right type of action. And it's at this point that I should highlight one of the things that they called out in the email, that I broke this rule on November the 17th, which kind of happens to align with this little drawdown in my cumulative P&L. And it gets a little bit crazier where you sort this by your max drawdown, and you're going to see a problem. Generally, my max drawdown somewhat manageable. Remember, this is all on 15 accounts. So if you want to know how I'm doing on an individual account, obviously just divide these numbers by 15. But when I sort it, you're going to see that one number stands out. Generally, my max drawdown all together, all 15 accounts together, is somewhere between 25 and 50,000. And one day was 272,000. Absolutely brutal, especially considering the fact that at that point in time, my accounts maybe had 320, 330 in it. Basically, my max drawdown, I almost completely blew out my accounts, hence why they clocked me for breaking that MAE rule. Now, fortunately, that wasn't actually my loss on the day. Even though that was my max drawdown, the loss on the day was about $3,200 per account, aka $49,000 in total, as in my accounts really went down. And then throughout the trading session, I was able to bring it back to really dig myself mostly out of the hole. And then from there, you could see winning day, winning day, winning day, fully got myself out of the hole. But at one point in the intraday session, my account started with $70,000. And at one point, I saw it as low as 53. So I want to make it clear. I was spiraling, I tilted, and it's basically from, I guess, the miracle of the market gods that I was able to get myself out of that tailspin and take a small loss on the day relative to what it was, and then for the days after that, actually grow these accounts again. But if you want to see something completely disgusting, you could see right here, the max drawdown, completely different. like just manageable. This is variance, loss, and boom, the 17th, absolutely disgusting. And that's exactly the day that I broke this rule. Now, for those of you who are curious about why I got so tilted, what did I see in the market, why in the world did I spiral, why did I almost give back all of my gains? Well, here's exactly the price action on Monday, November the 17th. We had a strong opening. We almost got above the EMAs. It started to get rejected, and then we started to bounce again. The fact that we were, for really the second, third time, attempting to recover all of the major EMAs, the exponential moving averages, at this point, I thought, wow, this is going to be a full-on market recovery. It is time for me to go bullish. So on this pump, I went bullish. When it started to break down, I went more bullish. When I thought I saw another recovery, I added to the position and I got even more bullish. Unfortunately, it started to break down. Now, any good trader who is measuring their risk tolerance and really cares about it, on this breakdown right around here, 12:30, midday around lunch, you probably would have gotten out. And that was the smart move. I didn't do the smart move. I added to it, and then said, oh, wow, this is getting out of hand. We almost broke down. Then I saw this reversal bar and I was like, oh, I'm going to get lucky. This is a triple bottom. It's coming back. Let's add even more. Well, I waited 10 minutes, and in fact, I was very wrong, and that's exactly how I gave back $17,000 of my $20,000 per account. It was right here where I realized that loss, and then if you're curious about how I dug myself almost out of the hole, well, I switched to bearish at size and rode this all the way down and was able to make most of it back, and then I think I even made a little bit back on this pop right here, but overall, I was just being a dum-dum, and I was refusing to admit what the trend was, and I kept adding into the play on the wrong side of the trend. And then finally, when I admitted what I was doing was wrong and flipped to the right side, well, that's when I was able to make most of my loss back. So I hope that makes sense. I was on the wrong side of the trend and I kept adding to it, and eventually my unrealized drawdown was way too large. But if we dive specifically into the rule, you're going to realize beyond the fact that I got tilted and started to spiral how silly that was, this rule is actually kind of easy to avoid breaking. I don't know what in the world I was thinking. 30% negative P&L rule, maximum adverse excursion, aka the MAE. The 30% negative profit and loss rule limits the loss a trader can incur on any single trade, providing a structured approach to risk management. Under this rule, the live unrealized open negative P&L cannot exceed 30% of the account's profit balance at the start of the day on a per trade basis. So what in the world is this possibly saying? Whatever your total starting profit is, especially if you're above the buffer, all you have to do is multiply that by 0.3, aka 30%, and you're going to get the drawdown that you are allowed on an unrealized basis. I'm not saying it can add up. Of course, it could add up to be more than that, but on one singular trade, it cannot exceed 30%. And for those of you who are my Hawkeye vigilant viewers, you're going to be thinking to yourself, okay, that says 30% MAE. Why in the world does your email say 50% MAE? Well, first of all, that's a very good catch, and if you keep reading, adjusted based on growth. If the end of day, the EOD profit balance doubles the safety net, traders may use a 50% drawdown limit instead of a 30%, starting with the next full trading session. So I started off at 50K. The buffer is 2.5, so as soon as you exceed 55,000 and technically a little bit more than that, once you have more than $5,000 in profit on that particular account size, instead of a 30% unrealized drawdown rule, it's a 50% unrealized drawdown rule. So for example, if you have 10K worth of profit from 50 to 60K, one trade itself can draw down just under $5,000 and you're still going to be perfectly fine. However, if it draws down $6,000, aka 60%, that would obviously be violating the rule. But I also do want to point something out just to be clear on the math here. That's one unrealized trade. If you have a loss of 2K, 2K, 2K all in the same day, and it's just 3 trades of 2,000 adding up to the 6,000, that is completely acceptable because it's not one singular unrealized trade. It was, in this example, 3 consecutive ones together. So let's bring this back to the fact that I am incredibly stupid. Starting off the trading day on Monday, November the 17th, I had a $20,000 buffer. My account started with 50K. I got them all the way up to roughly 70. So at that point, because I had doubled the safety net, I was allowed a 50% unrealized drawdown, as in one singular trade, I was allowed to pull back $10,000, but no more. And I think this is pretty obvious, but from the fact that I got denied and got those denial emails, that means that I pulled back more than $10,000. And in fact, I did. I pulled back $17,000 because in this drop, I just kept adding longs, which was not only stupid because I was fighting the trend. When you realize how easy it is to not break this rule, you're probably going to think that I'm a major dum-dum, because remember, it's just based on your unrealized. So if I wanted to, let's just be safe, I could have done the math of, okay, here's my loss at 9,000. I could have just locked that in and then put the same position right back on, just so the unrealized never got that big. So even if I wanted to keep the same position, which albeit that was a dumb position, as it was going down and down and down as I was adding to it, instead of letting it ride, I could have just closed the initial one and then just added on the exact same play, because then my unrealized would have never ballooned to that number. Like I said in that original example of when you're up 10K, you can't have a $6,000 loss, but you could do 2, 2, and 2. Well, the fact that there's no pattern day trading in the world of futures, especially in the sim to funded world, well, as it was going down, I could have just officially locked it in, and then my unrealized would have never ballooned to that level. Even if I wanted the exact same positions, I basically should have just realized some, gone into the same position, and I would have never had to deal with it. So I want to be clear. This rule is 100% on me. It is absurdly easy to sidestep. All I had to do was make sure the unrealized never got that big, and if we were getting close, I could have closed it out. I could have put on the same position if I had the same mindset, which at that point I probably did. But I want to make it clear, I knew I broke this rule, and when you have as much buffer as I do, it is so easy to not break it. It's almost as if subconsciously I went out of my way to screw myself over. So there you have it, folks. I am a dum-dum with a capital D. I broke a rule again, costing me $30,000. And it was absurdly easy to not break. But I should make something clear. Obviously, I knew I broke this rule going into it. It was super easy to avoid. But even by the fact that they denied me, I don't lose my accounts and they did not take my profits. They basically just say, hey, trade another 8 days, which is their payout window, and just don't break that rule again, and then we'll give you the payout. Even though I wanted to film this video and be stoked and announce to all of you that I made another $30,000, well, obviously that didn't happen. And of course, I'm not going to lie about it. I'm going to be transparent. But I just wanted to let you know that, yeah, it does suck in the meantime, but as long as I trade another 8 days and don't do dumb stuff like this, I should be fine on the next payout. Now, I hope that all makes sense, but I understand there might be some questions, comments, or concerns. And if you have any, let me know in a comment below, and I'll more than happily get back to all of you. Also, you should know that if you want standalone independent videos explaining what sim to funded trading is, how to trade futures, some of the strategies, rule explanation, the best account size, how to pass the evals, I already have those standalone videos. So I'll make sure some are linked in the description below, or just check out the channel wherever you're watching this, and you're going to have those really good explanation videos. And of course, before I let you go, if you want to try out Apex Trader Funding, basically get access to a lot more capital if you do well in their trading test, well, you could always get the best deal on Apex Trader Funding and really all the other sim to funded firms by using that code Goonie. And if you forget that, I'll just make sure it's also linked below. That's what I have for you folks. Obviously, I wish it was better news, but alas, I am my own worst enemy. And let's hope in the next video, I can kind of right the ship and have more positive news to share with all of you. But as I'm on this journey, obviously, I do appreciate all of the support. You guys are so incredibly kind. And I am very, very hopeful, fingers crossed, knock on wood, that the next video is going to contain a little bit more success. I appreciate all the good vibes. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.